Live exemplarily, love authentically, and lead relationally. Live, love, lead. This is the Inspired Family Leader Program with Samuel A. Bakutana, your host, certified executive coach, award-winning leadership consultant, global speaker and author, the CEO of Inspired Leaders International, the Provincial Fathers Union President. What a joy to have you today. Thank you for joining us this morning, afternoon, evening, depending on where you are watching from around the whole world. This program exists to challenge, to equip, and to encourage men, specifically, to strengthen their family leadership capacity for national transformation. You are very welcome. Now, when was the last time you did something without being ready for it? Whatever it was, whether it was an examination you sat for without revising, whether it was a speech you gave without preparation, or maybe it was a job opportunity that presented itself, or a job interview that presented itself, and you had to get into that room. They ask questions and you simply answer when you had not prepared yourself. When was that last time? When you had to do something without being ready, without being prepared, without being equipped to do it. Question 2, when that happened, did you feel confident in doing it? Did you do it with a lot of gusto, enthusiasm, joy, happiness? Did you have the confidence to do it or not? What were the consequences of you doing it without being prepared? What were the outcomes? What was the result of you participating in that without being ready? Today, our conversation centers around that critical word, preparation. And our topic is preparing boys for family leadership. Preparing boys for family leadership. And in this conversation, we are going to be looking at the different angles of this theme of family leadership preparation. Many times they say, so and so is so lucky. Look at how his family has turned out to be. But I always tell people that luck is when opportunity meets preparedness. That is what luck really is. So the more you prepare, the luckier you become. When you do not prepare, you lessen your chances of being lucky. In the studio with me is none other than somebody we've heard before, Mrs. EVAS KANSIIME Atwine, the Executive Director of ICFC, the International Center for Mental Health and Family Care, an entity, an organization that enables families to be solid rock. You know, to be, is it solid rock or rock solid? One of the two. To be rock solid in the way they do their things, in offering therapy and so on and so forth. She has a passion for empowering families, empowering men, empowering boys, empowering women, empowering girls. EVAS, it's a joy to have you here today again.
Thank you so much.
This is the third time you're being hosted on this program.
Sure.
What does that tell you?
That probably I'm speaking sense.
Without a doubt. How have you been?
I've been good, thank you.
What does it mean that you've been good, EVAS?
Having been sick since we met,
Yes.
have been working and doing what I love doing,
and that
which is supporting families, supporting
families.
individuals to promote wellness. And health and wellness.
Yes.
Generally.
This week I met you somewhere at some place where I was going to do a one-day training, and as I was going into that organization, you were coming out. What kind of service were you giving?
same service, promoting mental wellness.
Okay.
And I was supporting a team that had just lost their colleagues. I was conducting a session on grief management.
Grief management. And this was in the financial sector, in a bank setting.
In a bank, yeah.
Yeah. And actually, when I got into that room, as we were also getting in to do a mentorship training, refresher training for the team that we had trained 3 months ago, you could see the faces of people were more lighted. They looked a bit happier.
Yeah.
It's like there was a load that had been removed from their shoulders.
Absolutely.
So well done. Thank you for caring for families. Thank you for caring for the wellness of people.
Absolutely.
And today we are even talking about caring for the wellness of the men and the boys.
Absolutely.
Particularly from the area of preparation.
Sure.
So, before we get into the details of preparing boys for family leadership, I want us to first get quite general here, because I believe that this is a concept that applies in the whole of life, the concept of preparation.
Sure.
So generally, in life, what would you say is the importance of preparation?
Thank you so much once again, and good evening, viewers. I'm happy to be here once again and to talk about what I'm so passionate about, family, but also talking about preparing individuals for family life.
Yes.
Now, when we talk about preparation, it's making something ready.
Making
Readiness.
something ready.
Yeah. So it's is it good English? Reading something.
Reading it. Yeah, right.
Reading something for duty, for
Maybe.
Responsibility, for a job, so that at the end of the day you can have a good job done.
Yes.
Yeah. So making that. Yeah, I guess I'm repeating myself. It's readying someone for duty,
Yes.
for responsibility. Now, if you allow me, when we talk about life preparation,
Yes.
I'm going to just give me a few minutes, I explain it, because it's going to cushion our conversation.
Yes.
So when we talk about life preparation, I go back to when we are born. All of us, boy, girl.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to take you into psychology and explain to you that life runs on, I'm sure you know that all of life runs on principles.
Absolutely.
There's no
Fundamental
chance.
truths.
Yes. You talked about chance. So it's fundamental truth, and it's those principles. So principles govern life. But when we talk about life and life preparation, there are 3 principles that govern life, and they start from when we are born. When we are born, 0 to 1.5 years, our lives operate on a principle called pleasure.
Okay. 0 to
1.5 years.
Okay.
So 0 to 1.5 years, a child any human being is operating on a principle called pleasure.
They just want to enjoy.
Just enjoy.
Just want to enjoy things.
Need attention.
Yes.
No pain.
Yes.
No discomfort. Me-centered. You need all the attention on earth.
And everything that takes away pleasure, they cry.
They cry.
They complain.
Good. So that's the principle that governs life as at that period of time. From 1.5 to 3 years, then parenting introduces a principle called reality. Okay? So reality principle is taught, is introduced, because before that, a child wouldn't understand reality. So when now from that period to 3 years, now the brain can conceptualize it.
Yes.
So you introduce reality, and so you're saying, no, life is not about pleasure. Wait, so some of us mothers who breastfeed, you say, the child is crying, you say, wait, you're not going to die.
I'm coming.
Just I'm coming. So you're starting to help this child know that they can't get what they want every time they need
Life
it.
is not about them only.
It's not about them only.
Yes.
We teach them sharing.
Yes.
So there's so much reality that is introduced here. So that's when it starts.
And a lot of it is painful. It takes out the pleasure.
Exactly, because then you're balancing the pleasure. Now the children begin to know that, or the human being begins to know that they can't just get it. That life is not about pleasure. There is a little bit of discomfort, and it's okay. You're not going to die. Okay. Then from 3 years to 5 years, another principle is introduced, which is called morality.
Morality.
Yeah. So now the moral principle is introduced, where now a child understands the difference between right and wrong. Okay? So now these two principles neutralize.
Did you say 2 or 3?
Yeah.
You said these 2 principles.
2 principles, reality and morality.
Okay, yes.
So now they come in to balance a human being so that they don't operate from a skewed perspective of pleasure. I need this, I get it, and that's what the life is about me.
Yes.
Now, so all of life preparation is about that. It's helping a person to be balanced, to have a bit of pleasure,
yes,
but also to operate in a world of reality, and to have the morality to be able to not to kill themselves, and to be able to also not to kill others, also to
and to kill their destiny,
and
the destinies of many
absolutely. And so I just thought I would introduce this so that it cushions our conversation as we talk about preparation. Because when we talk about family life, there's a lot of reality.
Yes.
There's a lot of morality needed. There's a lot of discipline needed. So when we are preparing a boy that we are talking about, we just may have to make sure that they are not purely operating from the standpoint of pleasure. And we are going to talk about it here.
Yes. It's not just about giving them everything nice.
Exactly.
This morning we were at the school where our children go to for a parent-teacher conversation, and it was sort of a seminar. And one of the gentlemen there, one of my fellow parents, Mr. Tugume Apuli, talked about 2 things. He said that there is love in denial.
Yeah.
I thought that was a powerful statement. And he was talking about this in relationship to our relationship with our children, that they don't have to always get everything they ask for. There is love in denial. Yeah. He also said there is a victory in death.
Yeah.
He said that some things in our families need to be put to death if we are to victoriously raise children that will be responsible citizens of the country.
Sure.
So in all this, therefore, what would you say is the importance of preparation? We have the pleasure principle, we have the reality principle, we have the morality principle. So are you saying preparation helps one to integrate reality and morality so that they can balance it with pleasure?
Yes.
Or if I got you right.
So that's what it is. So any person, when we talk about a mature, balanced human being, they have to have a bit of all that.
A bit of pleasure?
They have to have a bit of pleasure. They have to have a bit
probably
of pleasure.
A good dose of reality.
A good dose of reality
and a high level of morality.
High level of morality. And that's a balanced one. But however, now the statement you make, there is, you say there is power in denial.
That there is love in denial.
There's love in denial.
So when you deny a child something, it doesn't mean you hate them.
Exactly.
You actually love them.
Yes.
You're preventing them probably from some danger.
Exactly. So that's why in parenting, we don't encourage a parenting style called permissiveness. Okay. Because if that category of parents, they just allow the child to keep operating.
Yes.
On the pleasure principle. So the child knows that everything they need, they get. And even when they are big, they just keep getting. So what happens? Yes, they keep getting. And
you
wherever...
keep having...
That's how they
babies in big bodies.
That's right. So as they approach life, they are still expecting the world, because that pleasure principle expects that everyone should pay attention to you.
Entitled.
To you. So that entitlement. Now, you realize that I'm introducing this into our topic because if you have a person who has been raised that way, right from childhood, so they always get what they want, when they get into family life, they don't see their responsibility. They see everyone owes them life.
They see they are right.
They see they are right.
They see their opportunity.
Exactly. So they just get what they want. And we have all this.
Could that be the reason why we have many selfish people in marriages and in families?
Absolutely.
Because they were raised to expect things being done to them and being done for them.
Exactly.
Not them doing things for others.
Absolutely. So that's what has happened.
Yes.
And unfortunately, sorry to jump the gun if I'm going ahead of you. I was just, as I drove here, I was just thinking about statements that are made.
Yes.
You hear people say, "Oh, men are just children. Men, they're just children."
You call me that, we fight.
That's so unfortunate. And so
it's extremely embarrassing it's an abuse.
They are children. Just treat them as children. Now, that's exactly what it is, because they keep operating that pleasure principle. Remember, it's for 0 to 1.5 years.
I actually thought maybe 0 to 5.
No, 0 to 1.5. Now, every time you allow an adult to keep operating on that principle, that means you keep them fixated at that stage.
Yes.
And the way their outlook to life is like, you owe me this. They get into marriage. They expect their partners to be the ones responsible for them.
Yes.
And this is what is happening. And the most unfortunate bit, we're talking about boys and men as leaders, and that's absolutely non-negotiable. Men are leaders. Men are responsible for families. Their headship is not up for debate.
I thought it's for contestation also.
No, so we'll talk about that.
People can vie for it.
No. So that's
because that's what I hear all around us.
No, so it doesn't make it right. Now, the thing is, if you just imagine you have a child for a leader, right? So you have a child for a leader.
Yes.
But at the same time, we give another message of, women, please submit to your husbands. So which woman submits to a child? You see that? And so this has been one of the biggest troubles.
And by the way, how come that woman was married to a child?
Yeah.
What is she?
No, she's not.
This program is quite provocative sometimes.
That's right. You see, look.
You see the irony I'm trying to grapple with?
No, I get you. But you see, Sam, when we talk about marriage and how people choose partners, that's another dynamic. That's another landscape.
We better not go there. We better stick to the preparation of a boy.
No, that's okay. But
life.
I can mention something. You know, when there is something we call expectation.
Yeah.
And expectation, and hope. And not every expectation has to be, you don't have to do 100% due diligence. But when I marry you, and I know that I have a husband, there are certain unwritten expectations.
Probably the basics that you expect.
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah. So when that happens, I wouldn't put it on this woman. And again, that's another conversation altogether. But it's unquestionable that this man is a leader. But this man who has not been prepared, we are doing a big disservice.
And that's where I'm curious, by the way, EVAS. Does a boy really need to be prepared? Can't he learn on the job when he is already married?
Very interesting, Sam, that you ask that.
There are many things we learn on the job. You find yourself in a place, you are doing a job you never studied before, but circumstances have pushed you into a certain profession, for example, a certain job, and because you are already on the job, you learn on the job, and many times you do it.
Yeah.
Must boys also be prepared? Can they learn on the job as family leaders?
Absolutely, Sam. And what a gamble. That you just leave someone and throw them in uncharted waters, and you just want them to that's all of life is about preparation. All of life is about preparation. All of life is about training.
Yes.
Right? Now, some of the training is formal. Other part of preparation or training is informal. And much of family preparation is actually informal. Right?
Yes.
But we had better be deliberate.
Okay.
Right. So you can be informal, but you're really deliberate. You're teaching certain things because you are expecting someone to perform a certain role. Now, you probably have heard me in my parenting series talk about parenting for the future.
Yes.
That every time we are parenting a child, we need to view them, we need to place them in the future and say, what kind of CEO will this one be? What kind of husband will this one be? What kind of a father are they going to be?
Kind of a wife.
And what kind of wife are they going to be? Now, of course, society has been so we have been really skewed in our operations, and we have gone to women. And we have prepared, and I'm sure you have heard this. Now, I'm not saying this is all, all flowery, that women don't need help. But you'll agree with me that there is a lot of preparing women for family.
Yeah, there is a lot of attention.
There is a lot of attention, and it's in small things.
Yes.
We prepare young girls for motherhood. You remember the toys we buy?
Exactly, children. You buy a toy of a young baby.
You know that?
So your
What
child,
are you teaching?
the girl,
Yeah.
is holding the toy of a baby. So she's being nurtured to nurture.
Thank you.
The boy is given the toy of a gun.
A gun.
Yes.
A gun.
A car.
A car.
A motorcycle.
Right. You see that?
A hammer.
Now, that's okay. But what else are you telling them? How about now, when we talk about family leadership, for me, by the way, I feel like reshaping it and say family life generally. Because, family life is about relationships.
The same with leadership. Leadership is a people business.
Exactly. So it's about relationships. It's about how are you preparing this boy to relate?
Yes.
What are we doing? What message are we giving to the boy as they grow? How are we preparing them for responsibility? Now, you ask whether boys need leadership training. Absolutely, some. They need to be prepared for responsibility. Leadership is high level responsibility.
Of course.
Leadership is about commitment. It's about commitment. Do you know commitment? Now, do you know the chaos we are having now in families? They get in, and one difficulty, pleasure is affected.
Yes.
They quit.
Oh, yes.
They quit.
Yes.
They run away.
Pleasure-driven marriages.
You see that?
Can't stand.
So that we have pleasure-driven marriages and pleasure-driven individuals in marriages. And so the first challenge they get, now I'm speaking as a marriage therapist, and the kind of stories we listen to and the kind of issues we are addressing on a daily basis.
Yes.
You just realize someone is not prepared for responsibility at all.
They
right?
are prepared
They
for
have no idea.
For rights and opportunities
and receiving and
pleasure
care
and gain. Yes.
And then of course when we talk about leadership, we're talking about perseverance. You see, resilience
through tough situations.
Yes. You see, this, and I'll be talking about this issue next week again on Saturday, when I'll be discussing the issue of divorce on another TV. But for now, let me mention this. For some reason, we haven't understood and comprehended the depth of management of an institution called family.
Yeah.
This is a big institution with so many departments.
Yeah, and you don't have a day off, you don't have an annual leave from the family. The institution is running every day.
This is an institution that has to be managed. Just imagine, they just got you and you have no training at all, and they say, oh, you're the CEO of MTN Uganda. Like how much struggle would you experience? So leadership is about strategic thinking. It's about planning. So tell me that those things you're going to do, it's about teamwork.
Yeah.
And so when we say, should we prepare boys for leadership, Sam? It feels like, should we baptize this child?
Especially when the child is before the priest already.
Yeah. So it is a desperate need. It is, I can't overemphasize it. I feel really burdened because we have been very unfair to boys. And some of us who do therapy and have to support men are crying. Definitely. Every group I go to, they say, but you guys, you have talked to women, but we don't know. Yeah. Now, these are skills, by the way. We have just talked about, teamwork is a skill. They are attributes. They are
things that can be learned.
These are learned.
And taught.
Now, what is happening? So at home, just at that basic level, what are we doing? Oh, we say, oh, boys, just play the ball. Yeah. Be on video games.
Meanwhile, the girl is peeling.
And then we say, no. So we let them peel. But then we call the girls, come and make your brother's bed. Or come and clean his room. You see that? What exactly are we doing to boys? And does it shock you that then when these boys get into marriage, they're saying, bring.
Yeah.
Now we have
when
so
they
much.
come, they put their feet on the table for the girl to remove the socks, for the boy to bring the cup, for the woman to bring the tea.
Because you're servicing their pleasure principle. That's why I started
that's how they
there.
were raised.
That's how they were raised.
Yes.
So parents, we have to know, you and I have to know that we have to pay attention to some of these things because we are raising somebody's husband, we are raising a dad. What are they going to teach children?
You're raising a community
You're
leader.
raising a community leader. You're raising a CEO.
A potential national transformer.
Do you understand?
A global citizen.
Yeah.
So now, you have brought it out very clearly that leadership in any sphere, in any context, is high-level responsibility.
Yep.
It is commitment.
Yep.
It is resilience and perseverance. Leadership is strategic thinking. It is teamwork. It is planning. And these things apply in the context of leading a family.
Exactly.
And therefore, a boy who has not been helped to think responsibility, to think commitment, to think strategically and plan, to realize that it's not about him always. That boy who has not been helped to work in a team environment, they later become a burden.
They become vulnerable.
They are so vulnerable.
They're very vulnerable.
They are so incapacitated. They feel ill-equipped. And therefore, when you say that preparation is making something ready for duty, they feel they are not ready for duty.
And that's what it is. And that's what it is. And that's why I'll make this statement with no apology. I think the world has been very unfair to men.
Say that again.
The world has been so unfair to men.
If you mean it, say it for the third time.
Yes, the world has been absolutely unfair to men.
What are you basing on?
Because how do someone who has this leadership role,
yes,
all these aspects we have talked about, and then you just don't prepare them, and you throw them there and you say, oh, this is your family.
Yes.
Well, you're the head of this family.
Start from wherever.
Start. And then, but I also think that we give them contradictory statements.
Yeah.
You're saying you're the leader, but at the same time you're saying you're a baby. You're saying you are an animal. I hear some people say, men are just beasts. Men are not beasts. They are human beings.
For me, I keep asking, why did you marry a beast? What are you? I keep asking that question whenever.
You can find yourself there, I guarantee you. And so why are you preparing beasts?
Yes.
Because all of us, when we are born, we have animal tendencies. And as we grow and get nurtured, we just get rid of those animal tendencies.
We learn to be more human.
We become more human.
Yes.
And that's, by the way, that's
and we are taught to be more human.
We are taught to be human.
It's not automatic. Yes.
So it feels like society it doesn't expect so much from men.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they expect so much from men.
Yeah, confusing messaging. So when you look at this situation, how would you rate the current state of family life preparedness among boys and young men? How would you rate the current state, briefly?
I'll tell you, it is so bad.
Okay.
Yeah, because, and I'm speaking once again from the standpoint of family therapy.
Yes.
It is so bad. It is so bad. When you see all the challenges we are having, and as I've told you, I don't want to make generic statements, but I'll tell you, men are struggling. And they are struggling here because they haven't been taught. They haven't been prepared.
Yes.
They've just been given a statement, go be a man.
Yeah,
now,
without explaining what that means.
Without explaining. You have attended weddings. Sometimes even church leaders have no message for men. Because
being a church leader is basically one of these other callings. It doesn't necessarily mean you know how to equip people. It doesn't necessarily mean you yourself are a good man per se. Yeah, they are also part of our community.
It is so bad. It is so bad.
Yes.
You've also heard that now we have a new trend of men doing the kunova. Kunova is
divorcing, going away.
No. They actually abandon.
Yes.
They abandon, so they run away.
So now, they have not divorced.
They haven't divorced.
They just abandoned.
They just abandoned.
I know one who left the home and went and slept in the hotel for 2 months.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now, what happens? They haven't been given any communication skill.
Yes.
Problem solving, conflict management. You know, when someone is growing,
yes,
most boys have been given a message that for them it's okay to fight.
Okay.
So society is not shocked when boys are fighting. Oh, it's boys, men, they are just fighting.
And then later when they fight as adults, we get shocked.
We get shocked. But then what I wanted to tell you is that this boy goes into family life, and the only skill for conflict management they have is to fight.
Yeah.
So they bump into this woman who says, sorry, you're not going to do that.
Yeah.
And so they realize, they get powerless because the only skill they had has been
Put down. Yes.
So what happens? They run away. They have no negotiation skills.
Yeah.
And let me make another statement, Sam. Men, our boys, and 21st century men are in more trouble because the landscape has changed. Family relationship landscape has absolutely changed.
The goalposts were shifted.
It has changed.
But we are still
no longer,
kicking the ball towards the usual goalposts.
We no longer have these neat compartments that our parents
clarification of roles.
Now the roles are just mixed up, and so this man has to be in this kind of situation where they have to manage the dynamics differently.
Yeah.
They have to negotiate, because if they've carried a message that you're the boss in this family, this is your family. Now they are given a message that you can control everything. This is your home. Now what happens where in this home, the home has been built by a woman?
The home or the house?
The house.
Okay.
The house.
Yeah.
The house has been built by a woman, and so sometimes it's confused.
You know.
Yeah, but then the man is saying, "This is my house. Get out of my house." And so the woman says, "What do you mean? I built it." Now I'm just bringing out one element to show you that dynamics have changed. How is this man supposed to operate with that old script that they've been given
in the new terrain,
exactly.
the new landscape?
If a woman,
but when you look at all this for you, what are some of the reasons that because you've said that boys tend to be left out of family life preparation, what are some of the reasons why this is happening today?
Okay, so I guess I've talked about a few of them.
Okay, yes.
One is making an assumption that a man doesn't need any training.
Knows what to do.
They know. Number two is generally this whole parenting thing, where it feels like we have to prepare woman. Woman is the one who runs life, and then we say, what kind of wife are you going to be?
I even hear this common statement. I don't know what you think about it. I am really interested in hearing what you think about it. You hear a statement that when you educate a man, you educate one person. When you educate a woman, you educate the whole nation. What's your position about that?
That's so wrong. Now, I know where they are coming from, because women are nurturers, but that doesn't mean anything. We have to be very careful. Men are trainers. Men are models.
Yeah.
Men. So what are you saying?
Yeah.
You see,
they are mentors.
I'm one of those people that don't believe in some of these cliches.
Yeah, I question them too.
I just question that, and unfortunately we pick them and run with them, and then we feel so
They sound
happy.
nice and we sound intelligent when we say them.
No, it doesn't mean anything. And by the way, that's one of the reasons. Now it helps me to answer your question. Men have been just left out. And all they hear, you remember our conversation, all they hear is negative statements.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so we have, should I use a wrong word? I'm on TV. Men have been given a message. They're just useless.
Yeah. Somebody said men are a biological accident. I had a woman say that on TV.
And that's such a shame.
Yeah.
Because a society where men in the right place, that's a sane society. That's a stable society.
It's a society you will enjoy.
It's a society you'll enjoy because men have a divine calling to be leaders. Now that's why when men get lost, everyone gets lost. And I just was thinking about scriptures I drove here. A scripture, I think it's in Matthew or wherever, that talks about when the shepherd is struck, sheep get scattered.
Yes.
That's exactly what is happening. Because when a leader is disoriented, when a leader is not in his place, then family gets confused.
Of
And I
course.
want to tell you, it just happens.
And
now,
yeah.
I would be here to be challenged by whoever feminist thinks that we don't need men. That's a shame. That's a scam.
I think I need to bring one here and bring you, and
It's
you
a
have a
scam.
conversation.
I tell you, it's a scam. We need men. We need men in the right place, and when men are in the right place, they are leading their families. They are they are providers. I'm
and
going to tell you
protectors.
now. That's another thing that has been confused. People think men as providers is just financial.
Not at all. Provision
not.
is so huge.
Provision, providing
Provision
strategic
of-
direction,
Yes, provision of,
providing peace,
yes,
right?
mentorship,
Providing mentorship,
guidance,
providing guidance,
wisdom,
providing
instruction,
You understand?
time, blessing. All that is provision.
That's provision. It's not, and let's make it clear, it's not about finances. And
Yeah.
men who are also taking comfort in the fact that they are providing money, that's not all. By the way, that's not what it's all about. And that's why I encourage men.
Yeah.
Please settle in your place. Even if your wife is earning more, you have the leadership role in
And you
families
have a
to
lot to
direct
provide beyond the money.
and to provide direction where that money is going to
But you
go.
know, we want to know those things unless we were prepared. I'm actually wondering, whose responsibility is it to prepare a boy to become the real man that will become a great family leader? Whose responsibility? This work we are talking about, whose responsibility is it?
So core responsibility is parents.
Yeah?
You know, we have talked about this some here. 80% of what a human being turns out to be has to be at family level. 80%.
It sounds so huge.
Yes, it's huge. Only 10% coaching,
Training outside
life
this-
improvement.
Yes.
Then we are also considered that we are born with just 10% deposit of what we need to be, right? But then 80% is nurtured at family level. This is
Okay.
this speaks to us about the incredible role of families.
The power of the family.
Power of the family. So at family level, 80% preparation has to happen. That's why when we miss it, later on it gets quite hard.
Yeah.
Now then the 10% is life improvement.
Okay. So 10% inborn.
Yeah.
80% home nurtured.
Right.
The remaining 10%,
Simple.
life improvement, training, seminar, workshop. So number one responsibility for raising this boy into a great man to lead his family lies on the parents.
On the parents.
Okay?
On the parents. However, we have to also credit or appreciate the importance of society. Society. But I also have to emphasize that let's not allow our children just to be raised by everyone, So society will make a
That's why they
contribution.
get confused, because
Yes.
many people are speaking into their lives.
Exactly, and they are giving mixed messages.
Yes.
So don't allow your child to be just raised by background noise. We have to make sure that we nurture them in the direction they are supposed to be. Give them do it with a sense of long-term perspective. Look at your little girl, see how selfish they act at home, and say, what kind of wife are you going to be? Look at how your son is acting and being violent and all, and then you say, you boy, how are you going to treat? So it is family,
Yes.
it is society, it is church, it is culture,
It is school.
it is school, it
Yes.
is everyone.
It is media.
It is media.
Yes.
However, you have to be very careful.
Definitely.
Okay, but the point is, I think emphasis, let's know that what a person turns out to be, a big chunk is from the family.
Yeah. So now we are talking about preparing boys for family life, for family leadership. When you see a boy who is not ready to lead a family effectively, what do you look at to tell? What are let me use the other phrase, the signs and symptoms of a boy who is not ready, of a young man who is not ready to lead a family? Maybe this could also help some girls who are about to get married, so that they will know the signs to look at, not to fall into the trap of marrying people who are not ready to lead the families. So what are the signs and symptoms of a young man who is not ready to lead the family well?
Number one is commitment.
Are you saying they are committed?
They can't commit. They lack commitment.
Yes.
And this is a big red flag for a man that is not ready for family.
Yes.
They can't commit because family requires commitment.
A lot of it.
Yes. And so they can't commit to one person. They can't. They're just here. They are those we call, we have 4 categories of men. I can't remember, but one of them is a joker.
A joker.
He's a joker. Another one is a playboy. So
yes.
they're just having their day. They have so much unfinished business.
Okay.
Yeah. And I've always also, let me say this, you hear some of them say marriage is prison. Right? They are not ready to commit to one thing.
Yes.
And it's a problem. Number two is responsibility. You see this when someone, they can't take responsibility for their actions.
They are irresponsible.
They are very responsible.
Are they the kind of people, kind of young men who are always blaming someone else for everything in their life?
Yeah.
They blame their father.
Yeah.
They blame their mother.
Yeah.
They blame their school.
Yeah.
They blame their government. They blame the economy.
Yeah.
They blame God.
Except
but never themselves.
Yeah. So they can't take responsibility. And they are also, I hear so many young men who say, but you know, the family is supposed to be for a woman. You know, they are the ones, you know, and then they quote Proverbs 14. A wise woman builds a home. But
actually, somebody told that to me. Let me see. Last Sunday, I was traveling with some young man. Actually, not that young, really. In fact, he's in his late 30s or early 40s. And he even told me that in his religion, they teach them to focus on the mother, focus on the woman, focus on the girl, that the woman is very important. So even in the home, the woman has to be the one to look after the children, keep with them, teach them that the mother is so important.
That's right.
That you should leave everything concerning nurturing the boys and the girls to her. And we had quite a heated conversation about it, as I was trying to draw his attention to the fact that he himself as a man has a huge responsibility to play in his own home.
Yeah. And so they are not ready. They are not ready. And they are still selfish and self-centered. They are not ready to accommodate another person. Those are the boys we say, they want to live single in marriage.
They want to live single.
They want to live a single life in marriage.
Are they the ones who always tell their wives, "Don't ask me where I'm coming from.
That's
it's
the thing.
My life"?
Unfortunately, some. So society has nurtured that attitude.
Yeah.
I was shocked. I've been shocked now. Whenever I go to functions, I listen, and I'll tell you some. Very few functions do people talk about the responsibility of men in marriage. Yeah. But this was classic. I attended a big function which was presided over by a very senior church leader. I'm telling you, senior, just mark that. Very senior church leader. And so he gets up to speak, and he says he's advising the girl. Also, he first congratulates them, and then he says, marriage is built by a woman.
Wow.
Yeah. And he says, now you girl, when us men, we are beasts.
Oops.
And this man, you see him, he's a doctor, but this is a baby.
Oh no.
You see that? And then he goes on to say, when this man doesn't come home at all, please don't call him. Don't call him. And
poison
then,
after poison.
Listen. And then he goes on to say, and if you're lucky he comes at 4, just tell him, thank you for coming.
And that is 4 a.m. not 4 p.m.
4 a.m. not p.m. And then give him something to eat. Then I'm thinking, what meal is that? Is that breakfast? Is that daku? Is it dinner? Is it tomorrow's lunch?
No.
But listen. And then he goes on to say, he says, and if he comes at 4, just tell him, receive him nicely and give him that to him. And then tomorrow he might come at 2. Then encourage him to come. Then another day he'll come.
What kind of
This is a leader. This is a leader. But also, No one is thinking about this woman who is doing all the drama
Exactly.
too. Now, that's a horrible message that has been given. And so it just encourages men to just be irresponsible. And so it gives them this message that they have nothing to do in families. As long as they marry someone, this